Board of Supervisors to order. Mr. Hohen, may I have a roll call, please?
Good morning. Stacy Giomi. Here. Supervisor White. Here. Supervisor Horton. Here. Supervisor Schutte.
Here.
Mayor Bagwell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Pastor Jarvis, will you start us off this morning?
Lord God, and all of humanity lives and moves and has our being. As the new year begins, we thank you for every good gift that you have given to Carson City. I pray now for this meeting that you would grant wisdom and success for the continued care and flourishing of our city. Please grant renewed energy to everyone who works for and serves our city, and grant the Board of Supervisors God-given insights and decisions at this meeting and for 2025. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Well, Mr. Yu, welcome back. Would you like to lead us in the pledge?
My pleasure, Mayor. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. All right, we are on opening public comment. Ms. Freeman, have you?
Good morning and Happy New Year. Jeannie Freeman, Deputy Director for Carson City Health and Human Services. I just wanted to let everybody know that we've launched our customer survey as of today. It'll go through the month of January, and if you're a business owner, a visitor, or a resident of Carson, you are our customer. We are your Health and Human Services Department, and we need your feedback. This is going to give us an idea of the things that we're doing well, areas for improvement, gaps, information that we are getting out to you, information we're not getting out to you. This will help us be better, and so we're asking for everybody to please fill out the survey if you can. You can find it on our website. We'll have it on our social media. We have it in paper copy at the health department, and we'll have it at other places around the city as well. And it is available in English and Spanish. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you. Do I have any other opening public comment? Mr. French? Yeah. We'll wait for the dog to need a dog treat. That should be next, right?
Danny French, Carson City. Thank you, Mayor and Supervisors. I'd like to start with my considerations, observations, and some questions about 9A. That relates to the fuel reduction program between Carson City, Tahoe, and Douglas Fire Departments, Protective Directive, TDFPD. And several things that I've been learning just with my brief experience with the Department of Forestry, and then also out of an interesting book, Burnt by Claire Frank. The considerations when you're considering any kind of development of a fire or a controlled burn are the weather and ability to have the staffing and the equipment you need where you need it, and then the back run for the development of the other considerations. When I looked through the contract, I did not see there was a 24-hour consideration change on a contractual subjects that you could utilize that time period or within that time period to make any changes. And I would suggest with the considerations that have to be considered in April, while it's not necessarily a big fire season, we're not really sure what weather will be coming up with, whether it's rainy or stormy or whether it's hot and sunny. And those type of considerations might need to have a clause in the contract that says, hey, if we have a weather or climate situation, or we have a wind situation that would take that smoke into areas that you didn't want it, or other considerations of staffing because of fires in other areas that would have to be supported by crews from Carson City and such, and I don't see it in here. And I also would just like to say that it is a grant, and it is an expense to us in a way, but it's a necessary and a good thing to do this fire fuel reduction. But I do feel that that should be added in. There's just a lack of that in the contract. And expected work completion. is sort of suggesting that this can be controlled like you can other kinds of contracts. Fire doesn't respect our wishes and timing necessarily, and I think that project conclusion consideration, and I will bring a little bit more up later when the subject comes up. Thank you as an item.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, then we're going to move on to the agenda. We're on agenda item 6A. This is approval of our minutes of December 5th, 2024. Do I have any changes or modifications? I'll accept a motion. Supervisor Giomi.
I move to approve the Carson City Board of Supervisors and Carson City Board of Health meeting minutes from 5 December 2024 as presented.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it's unanimous. Okay, we're now ready for our presentation of length of service awards. If you'll join me down below, that would be great. When she was 12, that's really what it was, but she works with juvenile, and I gotta tell you, she's a superstar for them, and I'll let her boss come up and say great things, but from all of us, we know what great work you do, and so thank you for that.
So congratulations, Linda. Super happy for you and proud of you. Linda served her early years and was hired as a detention youth advisor 25 years ago. And then, okay, thanks. Then she became a juvenile probation officer and now is serving as our deputy chief of our juvenile probation and oversees our detention division as well. Linda has constantly demonstrated unwavering commitment to the youth and the community she serves. I always tell everyone that she's the brains of our operation, and I'm not sure what I would do without her. Linda's extensive experience, including her impactful years with San Diego Juvenile Corrections, has not only shaped the lives of countless young people, but also enriched the department she has helped lead. She has nearly 29 years of total service dedicated to juvenile corrections. The relationships she has built with her colleagues and care she has shown to each individual are a testament to her character and professionalism. Thank you for your extraordinary service to Carson City Juvenile Services and for inspiring all who work alongside you. Your leadership is much appreciated. Thanks, Linda.
So we do get to say 4 years? Sorry, this is not working out for me. How about just giving us a hug and telling us thank you for your service?
Yeah, Craig, so much to talk about. Yeah, Craig's just been a spinal cord for us at the Sheriff's Department. He runs our detective division, all of our detectives, our crime lab, our vault, our newest approaches towards law enforcement, our special enforcement team. He has quite a breadth of responsibilities, and he is challenged with all of those major investigations that come through Carson City. And we could not be more thankful to him or his team. Craig, I congratulate you and I appreciate everything you've ever done for us.
Well, actually, and thank you for all your work on the Child Advocacy Center, right? I'm sorry, I could not help myself on that, but yeah, go ahead. Lisa has something.
Craig and Danny Gonzalez used to come and speak in my class when I taught health, and just an amazing advocate for our community. And so another thank you for that. You know, you go above and beyond, so much appreciated.
I still ain't, oh no, Craig. Oh, Craig. No such thing without pictures. But today's kind of another special day, and we thought we would celebrate. I was doing a little bit of research. You know, as a mayor, you can't help yourself. You got to look things up on a computer and see who's been doing what. And I thought, well, doggone it. Do you know that Sheriff Furlong started on January 6, 2003 as our sheriff? Can you believe that? And so he's the 27th sheriff. And I thought I'd be smart, though, to say, ooh, maybe I win as mayor since the consolidation. He beat me on that, too. He's the 6th since we were a consolidated governmental entity. So I'm like, look at this. So starting on, he's got to make it through January 7th. He'll be the longest. He'll be the longest. Right? He'll be the longest reigning Carson City sheriff. So he will join, he'll take out Mr. Stern, Joseph Stern. Wait till you see what years this was for somebody to be working hard to beat that record. Joseph Stern was January 6th, 1913 to January 6th, 1935. So look how long it's taken to break that record. And it wouldn't be right for me not to say, and how many more years? Because, right, I have to stick with my, you got to make it harder for all those that come next to beat your record, right?
22 is pretty damn hard.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, how many more? But we all here in this community want to thank you for all you've done. Anybody else want to say anything? Yeah, pretty special.
You know, I had a speech, but I was going to save for when you're retired, but you're not ever going to do that. So it'll be like Weekend at Bernie's. We're just going to stuff you, put you in the lobby. You know, to me, the quiet leadership of Kenny over the years, very few people know how difficult it is to lead a public safety agency and be responsible for the safety of the people that work for you and the safety of the citizens of this community. But Kenny's quiet leadership has done that for all of his 22 years, and even before that, almost 40 years in law enforcement. So for me to you, having some idea of how hard that is, I just praise you and hope you'll stay around as long as you can. Unstuffed.
I can.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that.
All right. We got a carry. That's pretty good.
Pretty good, right?
I considered a special unveiling today. Kenny and I were in junior high school together. I still have our junior high yearbook somewhere. But I thought Kenny might be a little embarrassed of that picture, so. And I might be embarrassed of mine as well. So I did not bring that yearbook to get today, but I can tell you it's been a very long road and very entertaining working with Kenny.
Thank you. Good job there, Sheriff. Proud of you. I've had the opportunity to work with the sheriff and his staff on a number of operations over the years and participate in, things that help support our community. And the one thing, I could tell stories for days, but I'll keep it simple. And I'll tell you the one thing that impresses me the most about Sheriff Furlong, every decision that he makes, he keeps the community in mind. And it's critical. We've had a number of discussions on issues that come up, and it's always, how is this going to affect the community? And we should all be proud of that because the community and our citizens are his main concern.
And I've never, ever seen anyone work so hard as Sheriff Furlong. And I first got to know you in 2003 when Steve became part of your administration, and seeing the 24-hour on-duty advocacy to our community. You're out there all the time, and you give back in ways that are above and beyond. You give back to nonprofit agencies, you give back to kids, you give back to the community as a whole. People feel seen. This whole community feels seen by you, and it's that above and beyond. So, Sheriff Furlong, you are an amazing human being, and Carson City is just so lucky to have you. And we thank you for your service and want you to stay on duty for a very long time.
Never for lack of words. So what do you got to say, buddy?
Dude, I'm with a lot of lack of words. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's the best job in the world to have, and I've been chewed out by most of these people up here, okay? At one time or another. But I tell you, we've worked very, very hard over the years to ensure that we stay on a path. And I know it's the whole you get the big chair sheriff thing, but it's the folks that are right here in this room that are actually out there in the front, in the public, doing the job that they do and making sure that we stay on track and doing the best possible job at keeping this community safe. I cannot be more thankful for 20 plus years that each and every one of these folks has been there when we need it. When we needed that card out of that deck, each one of these units or organizations, so many of the city entities has been there to push us forward. And it's just been a pleasure to see such quality of work in this room and in this city. It's just amazing. And it's an absolute pleasure to be sitting in a chair where I get to watch it up front and close. Thank you.
So in good fashion, it's never real if we don't have a picture, but we need.
was the donuts?
Well, gonna have to go with Stephanie over there, and then Nancy and I went, oh yeah, that's a good one. So we thought it was fitting.
So you
But-
get to hold it for your picture.
Yeah, but be careful, or he could stand. But let's come on in and let's do this together because it is just what the sheriff said. It's all about community, and everyone makes it work. None of us do it. None of us do it alone. None of us.
Go around the back.
Oh, when's
Some here, some in
the
front.
beard shake that the Boys and Girls Club are gonna? And not to watch. Come on over here, some of you.
I didn't mean for that.
You kind of listen. You're like, hey, listen. Yeah, come on up front. Yeah, I know, right?
I know.
Well, we want to make sure that. Come on over here, too. There you go.
Someone can stand next to Kenny.
We
It's
can,
not gonna
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, huh? Here we go.
All right, where are we looking?
James.
Say donut
Donut.
on three.
Yeah,
Donut.
My donut.
perfect.
Hey,
I just want to know, did we surprise you at all? We did pretty good, we thought, keeping our mouth.
Never mind. Do not do that. Yes.
Wasn't that donut thing great? Did you take a cruise? No, we went to Disneyland. I knew something. I thought, where'd you go? Not a Disney cruise. Call me next time. And let me tell you, I love that. And mine's not, mine's That's a real.
Run up on them, put them into their seat, go to the next house, the dogs all say hi. This is awesome. It's an awesome video. Yeah, they know what the gig is. My dog does. There's not a time I turned to their rear tail wasn't like 100 miles an hour.
That was a cool picture.
I hope.
Very cool picture.
Okay. The trick was pulling it off. The trick was pulling it off without him knowing. No. Yeah, it was. Stephanie did a good job on the donuts. Uh-huh. All right. Okay.
No, you're good. Love seeing the dog. Thank you. Yeah. And you too, while you're at it.
Oh, yeah. We just want the dog. Yeah, let's be honest. Okay. Are we ready, Freddie? Okay. All right, I'm going to bring us back to the agenda. I've had a request on the consent agenda to pull 9A for Mr. White. Is there any? Well, there is only one other item, so I will accept a motion for approval.
I move to approve the consent agenda consisting of item 8A, shortest consent agenda in history.
There you go. I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We're now going to do agenda item 9A. Mr. White, I think, just has a comment.
Yeah, again, just staying with my previous no votes on this particular arrangement. I just don't think it's appropriate. We're doing this work on private property.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Mr. French, you indicated you were going to maybe have public comment. Do you have public comment on 9A again? Yep, I just didn't want to. Yeah. I just didn't want to pass you by.
My questions are really just, oh, wow. My questions are really just a matter of filling in the gaps that I couldn't find in the written material. And since I didn't have access to any other material, I would appreciate it if you consider, again, my suggestions that because fire and weather and those things have to work together to not create a disastrous situation, I would like that 24-hour notice of requests for change of the contractual agreement be expanded to say, with the exception of those unseeable Mother Nature situations that might cause weather issues or because of other fires or other considerations the fire department may have to be directing their attention to. You could have rain. You will maybe want to put off the starting date of the 30th to another date, or have to expand on considerations as far as where you're going to do the burns first. But that is, to me, what I couldn't fill in this gap on the different parts of this particular agenda. Protective work completion date, as I mentioned before, the completion date, and the modifications or amendments, page 18, it doesn't cover those things that I've brought up. I don't have much else on that, but that I really wish them the best of luck. The only controlled burn I ever was involved with, other than back burning, was a practice burn, and it was only in 8 inches of grass. We cut a significant line around it, and it still got away from us. There was a bit of a wind. I asked about that before the exercise started, and the captain told me it was set. He understood the situation, had a water truck available, and I was hesitant, but you've got a leader that's been at this for years, but he's working with some green people and dry grass, and that combination can be dangerous. It was a warm day, and it just about got out of our lines, and had it gotten into the trees, it could have been a big disaster. But I think he was prepared for that, wanted to know if we would question the circumstances and be able to voice our concerns, and feel free to have done so, and he did allow us that. I really appreciated working with him, and the main thing is that I just don't feel this contract covers the possibilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does any member have a question? I think the contract fits, in the piece that Mr. French may not be aware of is it is a grant, and it has an end date. So the contract has been facilitated to meet the grant requirements and date ending. So we'd have to have an extension of a grant to extend. So
And in
Just a-
addition, it says on or before.
Right.
And so
It's-
if there's, yes.
perfect. If there's no other questions, Supervisor Giomi, a motion?
I move to approve the contract as presented.
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was 4 yeses, 1 no by Supervisor White. Okay, we're now on to agenda item 11A, and this is for the appointment for the Open Space Advisory Committee. We have one as a reappointment for Mark Kimbrough, if somebody would like to make that motion.
Sure, I'll do it. I move to reappoint Mark Kimbrough to the Open Space Advisory Committee for a full term expiring January of 2029.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We now have 2 positions that are open that we did not have reappointment requests. So we have today for interview, I believe, Mr. Norrie. If you want to come up, that would be fantastic. You look like you're alone now. It's like we originally brought the party for you.
I was planning on committing a robbery this morning, but I'm glad I changed my mind at last minute.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for applying for the position. Have you ever been through this before?
I have not.
Okay, the process is each of us can ask you a question or two, and then and then you can have any final thoughts or comments or something if you think it would be helpful for us to make a selection. And then we'll bring in this case, there's only one other applicant, Mr. Schaefer, and we'll go through the process again. You're welcome to stay as you will have answered your questions, and then the board here will make their decisions and the appointments for it.
That'll happen this morning.
It sure will. Yep. So again, I want to thank you so much for applying. So I'm interested in what are some of the reasons you would consider purchasing open space property? And do you know of any property that we should be trying to purchase? Just green, hit it once, it'll turn green. There you go.
I haven't actually considered that particular question. My involvement in the open spaces of Carson City has been to use them and enjoy them. For going on about 12 years ago, I moved here. I understood that one of our board members at Muscle Powered is a fellow named Dan, and he's taking the lead on what I think is probably one of the most worthy projects that we could pursue, and that would be a bike park at Eagle Valley.
Centennial.
Yes, at Centennial Park, thank you. And so that would be a project that I would be very much behind and would support. As far as purchasing property right now, I'm not really aware of anything at the top of my mind that I would be that I could make an intelligent decision about.
Thank you. Supervisor Giomi.
I'll ask kind of a follow-up to that. Without knowing really what properties are available, what criteria will you use to evaluate prospective properties that are presented to you? Let's say you've got 3 to 4 prospective properties and you have enough money to purchase one of them. What thought process will you use to sort of weed through those?
Will that property be used as intended? It has been my extreme pleasure to have moved to Carson City. I feel that this city is on, by any estimation, is on the cutting edge of facilities for fitness and walking and biking, and it's all the reasons that I really enjoy living here. So my criteria for that kind of decision would be, will it be used, or will it just, turn into I'm not sure what word I'm looking for here, but will it be used as intended?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Supervisor White.
Thank you. Actually, 2 questions today. On the application, there's a question, I need a clarification from your application. The question, list your affiliation with professional or technical societies. We didn't get an answer to that. Do you have any technical or professional societies that you're affiliated with?
The only one is Muscle Powered.
Okay, thank you. And now to my real question. Question 18 tells us that the Open Space Advisory Committee has the authority to administer and manage open space funds. How will you go about doing that?
I think that kind of dovetails into, where are we going to spend our money and why? And what is the result? And that would be my, I suppose, my thinking on that would be what are we trying to accomplish with whatever money? I mean, right now there's a question in the Muscle Power organization about, what do we want to devote our funding to, our energies, and it always comes back, in my mind, it comes back to what's the end result. Begin with the end in mind, and then the path will reveal itself to it. So in that respect, I would say that would be my question, and any inquiry I would make would be, what is the intended result, and then we can find a way to get there.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Horton.
Good morning.
Morning.
Do you feel like the city should continue to purchase open space, or do you feel like we have enough? Maybe we bit off more than we can chew. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I should probably preface this by saying I really didn't even think about applying for this until just a few months ago. And two of the board members, we were doing the Halloween function here, and it just came up out of the blue, and they suggested that I try this, and I am retired. I do have plenty of time. And I'm sorry, please.
Basically, should we continue to purchase
Right,
open space?
Right. I'm not certain you can really have too much open space, especially if it's dedicated to fitness and, I mean, advocacy for pedestrian and bike safety, I think is one of the best things that Muscle Powered offers in that regard. Yeah, I think that it would have to be on a case-by-case basis. I'd have to actually see what it is that we're, again, what is the end result we're looking to do. I mean, I'm kind of fanatical about fitness and biking and hiking and fly fishing, and, you know, I have a long list of passions that I enjoy. So I don't think you can have too much of any of that. But at the same time, we have to devote our time and energy and resources to what is going to work. Again, what is the result that we're looking for? I really enjoy the fact, again, that Carson City, and I've lived in a lot of towns and cities. This one, I've never seen a city that is so forward-looking as far as muscle-powered stuff. And the maintenance of all the facilities that we enjoy here. It is really one of the really great aspects of living here. So,
Thank you.
Supervisor Shooty.
Thank you for applying, and you've actually answered this question somewhat, but I will ask it again if there's anything else you'd like to add. And so what role do you see the open space program playing in adding to the quality of life for our residents and helping our community?
well, again, I don't think you can have too much of a good thing, I suppose, relatively speaking. So what would be the role? I really like that you know where the city has taken this already. Again, I think we're really on a very, very forward-looking city as far as facilities for fitness and you know, all of the reasons that I think are worthy for walking and muscle-powered kind of activities. I've never been involved in another organization like Muscle Powered that's just, it's very, very simple, advocates, I mean, fitness in its easiest possible form, and that is to take as much, I suppose, fuel-powered transportation out of the picture and introduce much more of you know, muscle-powered stuff. I know I keep using that word,
But I think the muscle-powered link, so what was it about muscle-powered that initially got you involved?
So, I'm a hiker and a biker, and a lot about outdoor passion. So, literally the day that I moved here in 2013, in June 21st, 2013, I took a hike, and there was a little sign right there at the head of the trail, and it was at Prison Hill, and this trail was built and maintained by an organization called Muscle Powered. I became a member the very next day, and I was invited to the board a year ago. It will be ironically January 6th. A lot of things happen on January 6th.
Yeah, it's a big day.
And of course now I'm familiar with all of the things and some of the trails that have been built and you know right now are really world class. Really, the Capitol to Tahoe Trail, I mean, just amazing, and the kind of efforts it has to go through to deal with the BLM and with private land ownership and all of the agencies that you have to work with. It's impressive to see just a a very small organization take the lead and get things done the way they have. So as far as being on the board of OSAC, I would certainly like to further that. You know, one of the questions that has been coming up is, what do we want to do now? What's next? Where do we go from here? And again, the bike park for me is like the most logical. I mean, pretty much every one of our neighboring cities has one, and I think it could really be a boon to the city. So that's one project that I would like to go full speed ahead with. Right now, there are some funding issues as far as getting a review. I can't remember what they call it, financial statement or something, or a review. But that is, where do we go from here? If my being on the OSAC committee can help further, you know, what we're already doing, then I'll devote as much time as necessary.
Thank you so much.
Well, again, we really want to thank you. Is there anything that you want to share with the committee to help us make our decision?
Again, I hadn't really considered this until it came up just a few months ago, but it is exactly in line with what of my value, what I'm passionate about. And if I can help with that mission, then I'm happy to do it.
I think some of our questions here today, just for your knowledge or whatever, really deals with the quality of life question. Had parameters within it that kind of designated how the money would be spent,
Right.
had percentages. And so we've been wondering, as you acquire more and more land, and you can see several of us really were going down that path, you have to maintain it though. And so I guess we're starting to look at, are we at a threshold? Are we at a place that if we're going to make some more purchases, or if we're going to do a bike park, do we have the ability to maintain it? And so we're looking for that balance and things of that nature. So I look forward to your passions. We find that people that serve on committees that are passionate about the projects are the absolute most successful. We have a person on our park side that's a pickleball player that we would not have the pickleball courts without a driving force. So again, thank you for your passion and caring about the recreation, passive recreation, I really think, but thank you.
I just wanted to mention, I am aware that there have been some projects that did not actually fulfill what their intention was, and I understand that there was some challenges maintaining some of the places. I think this frisbee park over by the dump kind of turned into
Disc golf?
Yeah, so I am aware of that, and that is exactly why I would use my years of my years in the solar business. It's all project based, and you have to, what is it that you're looking to accomplish, and when you have that, then again the way there will reveal itself, but only then.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much again for applying. We really appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
Again, you're welcome to sit in the audience, and we'll interview Mr. Schaefer, and then we'll make our decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again. Well, good morning. You know what? You're in the hot seat. That's it. We'll see if we have it spring-loaded this morning for you. So if you just push the button once, it'll turn green for you. Good. Keith, you've been through this before with interviews or heard interviews, or do you need a little?
Well, actually, no. I
No,
have
none?
not been on any committees yet in Carson City, so.
Well, it looks like
I've
we're
not
going to
served
fix
any,
that
so,
here.
yeah.
So what we're going to do then this morning is we're going to ask you one or two questions each And then you can make any final thoughts or comments that aren't covered by one of the questions. And then you're welcome to stay, because we will then bring it back up here to the board for a final decision today.
Very good, thank you.
And
Happy
put you
to be
guys
here.
to work. Oh, did I mention that? You have to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start with the first one, which is, what are some of the reasons you would consider for purchasing open space? And do you know of any property currently that you think we should be looking to purchase?
Well, that's a good question. The purposes for purchasing open space would be to maintain and to improve upon the quality of life here in Carson City. I think Carson City has done a great job of finding connections between open spaces around the city and establishing trails that have really added to, I think, the makeup of Carson City. I think it's kind of a gem that is pretty much unknown, which is kind of good in a way. I am a civil engineer, and I work in the development engineering and public works engineering arena, and I know what goes on in development, and I have clients who have come to the area that said, boy, this is the best kept secret kind of in the West, and yeah. I don't know of any properties right now that I have honestly looked at, or that wasn't my purpose in wanting to serve the city. But I think the purpose would be to maintain and continue the quality of life for the citizens here in Carson City and visitors.
Thank you. Supervisor Giomi.
Welcome, Keith.
Thanks,
Good to
Stacy.
see you again. Been a number of years.
Yeah.
A lot of you might remember Keith was with the school district for many years during a lot of their expansion projects. Anyway, that aside, and to tag on what the mayor said, let's assume you have 4 or 5 properties that are being considered for acquisition, but you have enough funds for one of them. I guess I'm just kind of interested in your thought process on how you'd evaluate, how to prioritize those, and spend the money in a way that, what's your thought process, basically?
Yeah. I think location is interesting. I don't think all open space has to be on the periphery necessarily of Carson City and acquiring properties up against the Sierra Front or the Pine Nut Range. I think it would have to do with what benefit it will bring to the community specifically, and how many members of the community or how much of the community it would be available to. I think I don't want to shy away from any special deals where it might just be really advantageous for a few, but looking to see how much of the community it would benefit might be a good identifier there.
Thank you.
Supervisor White.
Thank you. Morning, Keith.
Morning, Maurice.
Question 18 tells us the Open Space Advisory Committee has the authority to administer and manage open space funds. How do you go about doing that?
Become familiar with the budget, what the budget is for those funds, and identify, I think, the cost to benefit ratio of where those funds are spent. Is it in administration? Is it in acquisitions? Identifying priorities of how those funds would be spent, I think, is important. And trying to be efficient with the processes and the systems so that we don't waste money on undue administration or other issues other than acquiring and maintaining those open spaces for the benefit of the public.
Thank you.
Supervisor Horton.
Good morning, Keith. How you doing?
Good, Mr. McCord.
Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Should the city continue to purchase open space? Do we have enough? Have we bit off more than we can chew? What's your position on that?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry, I haven't researched how much we have currently. I think that we do have to be aware and have to be prudent about our ability to manage and maintain the open space. I've been here a while, and I know what happened with, Prison Hill and the Silver Saddle Ranch, and it was BLM, and now it's Carson City, and, that takes some manpower and some effort to maintain. So just for the purposes of purchasing and acquiring open space, just to have it, I don't think that that's necessarily a good idea, but I don't know the answer to the question. Do we have enough? I don't know. I'll just be honest with you there.
Supervisor Shooty.
Thank you so much for applying, and you've spoken a little bit to my question, but if there's anything you'd like to add. What roles or other roles do you see the open space program playing in adding to the quality of life of our residents and helping our community?
I know there's been a fair amount of focus on increase in establishing trails around the city and connectivity. But I think that there could be some other reasons, whether it's green spaces or buffer spaces. I think the benefit of park-like settings and places where families can recreate would be benefit. Not just to put a trail through it, but a place where people can recreate and it's open to them to be able to do that. There's so many places in Nevada, if you're a sportsman or if you're an outdoorsman and you try to get out and you do some things, and pretty soon there's a fence there and it's private property, or it's just not available to the public. Something you thought was BLM and you could go out and recreate. But if that's close to our community where all ages can access that, and one, maybe not just for access, but also for beauty and buffer, I think is some good things. Not to mention safety. It might be good for the city to have control of some properties where they don't have to maintain or try to enforce some private entity to maintain a fire buffer on some properties. I think that's an important thing around our community for some safety and access like that.
Thank you.
So now it's your turn. Is there anything else you want to talk to us about why Open Space Committee? So all
Sure.
these years you're picking.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I've been in the area for nearly 30 years. I grew up, though, in Carson Valley, but I've lived here in Carson City and been a resident for nearly 30 years, raised our family here, and we love Carson City. I know many of you and many of the folks in the community. I'm not a young chicken anymore. Boy, that happened sooner than I thought it would.
It's 2025.
And I thought to myself, I'd like to give back. And I did look at a couple of other committees that might have aligned with me. I know that there was an opening on the Transportation Committee, and I was ready to push that application forward, but I thought, I don't know if I would enjoy that as much as I might enjoy the open space. I like being in the out of doors. That just appealed to me, and I felt like I wanted to do something that I enjoyed, but something that I could do to give back to the community and serve the community. I'll be honest, and this didn't really weigh heavily in my decision, but we just recently built a home off of Gentry Lane that backs up to Prison Hill, and I've heard some of my neighbors talking about, they're going to put a trail back there, and that's not going to be good. And I went, well, it's not altogether bad, So I thought open space could be a good place to serve, but also be able to be an advocate for the good things that can happen in Carson with neighbors and others. So.
Well, again, we really want to thank you for applying. The community is better when we have applicants that help us serve and shape where we're going, and that they have a focus or a mission for a particular goal. So we really appreciate, again, both of you applying, and so we're going to bring it up here for decision. It might be an easy one. We don't always get it. We have two positions and we have two applicants, so we don't always, I know, but I just think it's hilarious because you're both on Gentry. So, I want to know, were you guys meeting in the middle? There you go. Right behind? That's too funny. Yeah, of everywhere in town, right? And then to be neighbors, that's hilarious. But that's what Carson City is in the end, isn't it? Everybody's just a neighbor. So does anyone want to make a comment or a motion or Supervisor White?
I would just like to point out that I really appreciate when folks are willing to step in front of the community to help out. I will say, though, when it comes to open space and the Parks Commission, I think we're getting overloaded with a single-minded view of muscle power. And I'd like to point out, this is not an extension of muscle power. This is for the entire community.
Okay, anybody ready for a motion? Okay, Supervisor Horton, thank you.
I'll do it.
Oh,
I move to
okay.
appoint Charles Norrie and Keith Schaefer to the Open Space Advisory Committee, each for a full term expiring in January of 2029.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous, and I'm not kidding when I said now get to work, okay? And thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for being willing to step up and help. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now going to move on to agenda item 11B, which is all of our appointments and a couple of nominations for a few committees that we have. Before I read them all into the record for a motion, which I'll do, is everybody, we just did them, is everybody staying on what you're doing? Since we had no board changes, it was like, whew, that was easy. Everybody's okay with it? All right. I don't take public comment generally on these, no reason to. Yeah, okay. So I will move to appoint Supervisor Giomi as Mayor Pro Tem for a 2-year term ending on December 31, 2026. Mayor Bagwell to the Carson City Regional Transportation Commission for a 2-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31, 2026. That's not 2 years, but anyway, okay. Supervisor Schutte to the Carson City Audit Committee for a 1-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31. You would be willing to throw that one out there. December 21, 2025. Supervisor Giomi to the Nevada Association of Counties for a 1-year term ending on December 31, 2025. Mayor Bagwell as an alternate to the Nevada Association of Counties for a 1-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31, 2025. Mayor Bagwell to the Nevada League of Cities Board of Directors for a 1-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31, 2025. Supervisor Schutte to the Carson Water Subconservancy District for a 4-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31, 2028. Supervisor White to the Nevada Works for a 2-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31, 2026. Supervisor Horton to the Carson City Airport Authority for a 4-year term ending on December 31, 2028. Supervisor Horton to the Carson City Debt Management Commission for a 2-year term ending on December 31, 2026. Stephanie Hicks to the Nevada Commission for the Reconstruction of the V&T Railway for a 4-year term ending on December 31, 2028. Shelley Aldine to the TRPA for a 2-year term ending on December 31, 2026. Doug Martin to the NTCD for a 2-year term ending on December 31, 2026. And the nomination for Kevin Hill to the TRPA for a reappointment to serve as Carson City's lay member of the APC for a 2-year term ending on December 31, 2026. Phew. I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Phew. Look how hard we work. We get all that done. Okay, we'll move now to agenda item 12. Um, City manager, any announcements or anything?
Just a reminder for a few of you not to miss your swearing in ceremony on Monday. So Supervisors Schutte and White and Mayor Bagwell. The swearing in is January 6th at 11 a.m. at the courthouse, 3rd floor, Department 2, District Court.
And don't forget to do your final C&E filings and your ethics, because you have to do that. I know, right? January's coming, everybody. Or it's here, but before the 15th, get it all done. Does anybody, other members, have anything to share from any committees or work? No? Okay, then we're going to go to item 13, which is our final public comment for the Board of Supervisors.
Denny French, Carson City, Nevada. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to suggest my personal opinion about committees and the involvement of board members. I appreciate that very much, that it's required by law. I also appreciate the fact that each of those considerations takes time and efforts from each of you outside of what I feel is getting reported back to the community. I'd love to hear more of your responses when they ask, is there anything you'd like to contribute? Some of your actual considerations during those meetings that you're having to go to by law, but that you do participate. I've gone and seen you participate in those, and I appreciate the effort and the time involved. I'd like to suggest that you could go by television in call so you didn't have to drive to so many different events and circumstances. But that's just a consideration that I think would save you time and energy and money. But I just want more feedback from those things that you do get to when you do have an opportunity to bring them up, because each of those committees and commissions and boards are very important, and they tie us all together into our survival mode. I would have also liked to have heard one question about the nature and habitats and such in the open space considerations. I would have contributed a question, but I didn't have time. I got waylaid. But the deal is that I appreciated your questions, and I think that each of the people that answered told us a lot about their own perspectives in a it's what they didn't say in some cases for myself is what made my decisions. And then anytime that you have someone that's staying in a position like Mark Wentworth, he should be acknowledged for having then retained the position he is presently in. And I would have liked to have heard that. I also don't like being dismissed. I was at the table because I couldn't get up rapidly, but body language tells a lot about a person's attitudes and different things. And I don't think it was intended as a slight, but I did feel a bit dismissed. And I appreciate you all. I appreciate the work you do. I don't necessarily agree with you all or have real warm and cuddly feelings about some of your positions, but I do appreciate your efforts. And had I the guts of those two gentlemen to come up here and apply for something, open space would have been one that I would have liked to have been able and up to it, but I'm not. But I do want to make sure that I put my 2 cents in when I do feel that there's a counterpoint to something, or if there's a concern that I have, just like when I had to advise the chief when he was telling us start this burn. We've got wind going, sir. Is this really the proper time? I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Do I have any other final public comment? Seeing none, okay, then we are adjourned as the Board of Supervisors, and I will call the Redevelopment Authority to order. May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Hohen?
Chair Bagwell,
Here.
Vice Chair Giomi.
Here.
Member Horton, Member White,
Here.
Member Schutte.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I have opening public comment for the Redevelopment Authority. Okay, I'll move on to agenda item 18A, which is approval of our minutes of July 18, 2024. Any corrections or updates, I'll accept a motion. Supervisor Giomi?
Move to approve the meeting minutes of the Carson City Redevelopment Authority from July 18, 2024, as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We're now on to agenda item 19A, and I'll take the pleasure this morning of this. I move to appoint Mayor Bagwell as the chair and Supervisor Giomi as the vice chair of the Redevelopment Authority, each for a one-year term beginning on January 6, 2025 and ending on December 31, 2025.
I second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. We're now on to final public comment for the Redevelopment Authority. Okay, with that, for the Redevelopment Authority? Certainly. Sorry.
I didn't get a chance to say Happy New Year. This is an opportunity for all of us to be grateful we made it and look forward to the future efforts with joint considerations. And I want the community to hear me. I come because I want to be involved as much as I can. I would hope that the people that are telling me their concerns would come in and tell you, write you, send you an call you. And that's my shout out to the community, appreciation and consideration for those that are working towards the betterment of this community. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further business, we are adjourned, and Happy New Year.